I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Aaron. This morning, please remember, remind your cell phones, and I am sitting in for Commissioner Heiberger. Hopefully she's enjoying her extended Labor Day. Once again, the meeting documents are available at the end of the bench in the white binder. And if any of you need any hearing assistance, Robert will be able to get you a listening device. And it's similar, I believe, to something that Commissioner Kelly is wearing. So, with that being said, I'd like to move to item number 1, which is to consider a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 2 is approval of the County Commission minutes from August 26, 2014, and the joint minute of August 26th of 2014.
So moved.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Again, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Once again, item 3 are bills to be paid in the amount of $1,326,062.42.
Pay the bills.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to pay the bills. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, today's bills include a number of fairly high dollar items for the highway, totaling $800,000. We also have about $200,000 going to armor, and an additional $50,000 going for a morgue trailer.
Thank you, Commissioner Barth. With that being said, we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We don't have any reports this morning. Item number 5 are personnel actions, and A is to consider a motion to approve the routine personnel actions.
Move for approval.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And once again, we also have item B, recognize significant employee anniversaries for September 2014. All right, so please proceed.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jen Oddix from Human Resources. We have a couple of employees who are celebrating significant anniversaries this month. With 5 years of service, we have Jason Annenson, who's a deputy sheriff in our sheriff's office, and Bob Bockreny, who is a protective services worker, also in our sheriff's office. And with 15 years of service, we have Thomas Robb, who is from the state's attorney's office, and also with 15 years, Justin Sealer, who is an Air Guard security officer, too, with the Air Guard. And additionally, you'll see Mona Helseth, who's here. She's our office manager for the state's attorney's office. She had 40 years of service last month and was unable to make it to that commission meeting, so she is attending this meeting as well. Would anybody like to say anything at this time?
Come on.
Come on, Mona.
Anyone with 40 years of service?
Of course.
Well, what can you say about Mona Helseth? 40 years of impeccable, dedicated service to one of the busiest offices in the state. I fear that only upon her retirement, if we ever let that happen, will we truly appreciate everything she does day in and day out for us. She's just a tremendous asset as the work ethic that you can't even train anyone to have. She's an amazing, dedicated public servant, and they just don't get any better.
Yep, that's absolutely true. Thank you, Mona. Now Mona's going back to work. Thanks, Mona. All right. Then, once again, we do have item C is to recognize volunteers in county government for August 2014, and I see a significant list.
Yep, absolutely. For August, we had over 225 volunteers that gave their time and service in a number of different departments: the Siouxland Heritage Museums, Public Defender's Office, State's Attorney's Office, Emergency Management, and in the jail. So we just like to take this opportunity to thank them for donating their time and service to all these different departments that help us out here at the county.
Yes, absolutely. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6 are applications for abatement. I don't believe we have any this morning. Item number 7 are notices and requests. A is a notice from the City of Sioux Falls Public Works, a public information meeting for pavement rehabilitation and bridge replacement on the West 12th Street on September 3rd, 2014 at 5 p.m. Meeting Room A at the Sioux Falls Main Library, and that's at 200 North Dakota Avenue, Sioux Falls. and that is just a notice, so no action is required. B is to authorize the county auditor to publish notice of hearing to consider application to transfer a retail on-sale liquor and Sunday sale license and retail on-off sale malt beverage license from Swearing-In Enterprises, Inc., Breck's Bar and Grill, to Michael Swearing-In, Chasers, Food and Spirits, and that's at Whitrock, Track 1, Track 2, the Northwest Quarter, Section 22, Tract 101, North Range 50 West, and that address is 8405 West 12th Street, Sioux Falls.
Make a motion to authorize publication.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Next is item number 8, planning and zoning notices. I don't believe we have any this morning. Item number 9 is a petition for compromise of lien, and I am the lien commissioner, but I'm also acting chair, so I'll do the briefing, but I won't be able to make the motion. This is on DPNO number 83886 in the amount of $1,734. The commission office received a compromise of lien application in the amount of $1,734. In the name of the applicant requests that the lien be compromised and released in full with no additional payment. The lien represents services provided by the Public Defender's Office for one case back in 2012. The original amount was $2,100. There's been one payment of $366, which has been received, leaving the current balance of $1,734. The applicant lists several reasons why he believes the lien should be discharged in full. First, he said he was never told that he had to pay for public defender's services, which were incurred. Second, his debts and obligations exceed his income. And lastly, he has moved out of Minnehaha County to start a new job. The applicant lists total assets of $1,100 that include a checking account, household goods, and other personal property. His liabilities include debts, an auto loan totaling $12,384, as well as monthly expenses. The applicant also has provided a copy of his 2013 tax return and lists an adjusted gross income of $31,760, and he received a tax refund of $924 last year. There is one additional piece of information. As part of the court sentence in this particular case, the applicant was ordered to pay fines and court costs as a condition of 120 days suspended jail time. However, once again, there was a failure on his part to pay the fines and costs, and a warrant has been issued for his arrest. The applicant is currently trying to deal with the warrant through the Sheriff's Office's walk-in warrants program. However, once again, the court order to pay fines and costs is still active. It's still part of the court order. So that is what he wishes. Now, if the applicant's here, he can stand up and address the commission. I don't know if he's here today, but he is more than welcome to address the commission. And he doesn't have to come to the podium. He doesn't have to name his name. But he should feel free to address the commission at this time. So please proceed.
I'd like to address the commission.
Oh, you want to come to the podium? That's fine.
You can stay there, too.
You don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. It's up to you.
Commissioners, I'm a Sioux Falls native. I had never requested a public defender before. In working with my public defender, at no time was I issued a per hour rate. Apparently it was $87 an hour. And if I would have been made aware of this per hour rate, I definitely would have sought private counsel at that time. I went back and talked with the office manager over there. She said, it's not issued on the original form, that public defender form, because it changes on a yearly basis. And for that reason, it's not listed. And she had no other, nothing else to say except that, South Dakota is one of 10 states in the union that charters for this service. I understand there's some financial responsibility. At the time, I was living in Minnehaha. I had moved back to Sioux Falls. I had lost my position with the company that I was with. I had a 2-year non-compete clause that I was sitting through. I'm back in the same industry. I'm bringing myself back from some debt and just petitioning the commission for some leniency on this bill, something that I could take to Judge Hendricks on the 18th to say, because apparently it was court order. I don't understand how that exactly works. I imagine, it behooves the court to order that on every case that has a public defender attached to it, so that the county can recoup some of the monies and expenses associated with the public defender. And I'm willing to meet you halfway. I'm willing to oblige the county for the services received. I'm just hoping, once again, for a little bit of leniency.
Well, thank you very much for addressing the commission. We don't get applicants frequently that come in to actually address the commission personally, and I know that your time is valuable as well. So I'll entertain a motion to cut the lien from, I believe it was $2,100 to $1,050. I don't know if I'll get it. I can't make a motion. I can entertain a motion for that. I don't know if anybody would be willing to entertain that.
Commissioner, is $1,734 because the prior payment has already been made.
Okay. 50% would be, okay, $867 of the $1,700. Okay. $867. I'd entertain a motion. I don't know if I'll get a motion.
I'll make a motion for that dollar amount of $867.
We've got a motion. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? It dies for lack of a second. So with that being the situation, I'm sorry, your lien remains in full at this time. So you can come back another time and petition the commission, possibly when there's full commissioners here, and maybe we can take that matter up again. Okay?
Mr. Chairman, just a comment, which is that it does make us feel better about people when they are making regular payments on these types of things.
Right. Right. That is true. So any partial payment you can make, we look favorably on that. And possibly if we could get all the commissioners here, there may be the possibility of getting a second to that motion. All right?
Right, there was one payment made of $366.
Yeah, we had that information. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. All right, next is an opportunity for public comment, and this is the time and place for other individuals to come forward and address the commission on any non-agenda item. Is there anybody that wishes to address the commission on a non-agenda item? Now is the time. Seeing none, we're going to turn to our regular business agenda, and item number 10 is a public hearing, but that's scheduled for 9:15 as well as item number 11, and we aren't at 9:15 yet. Sorry about that. But we're going to jump ahead now to item number 12, which is authorize the chairman to sign the guaranteed bed contract for non-secured detention between Minnehaha County and Volunteer Americas of the Dakotas. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Gravitt, please proceed.
What I'm requesting is that we add 4 additional beds and guarantee it for the remainder of this calendar year. We've been running over our 3 beds quite frequently at a rate of $115 a day. Friday when I left, we had 6 kids in non-secure shelter beds at VOA, paying that $115 a day on 3. This would secure us 4 beds for the remainder of the year, which I feel we would have no problem filling at a rate of $110. So we're guaranteeing those 4 beds that they're going to be paid for daily, but I have no problem filling those, and we would actually be getting a $5 a day cut on those 4 beds.
Thank you. And you know what? I didn't ask you to state your name and address. Sorry, Jamie.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Jamie Gravitt, Director of the Juvenile Detention Center, 824 South Conklin Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gravitt. Okay, so with that being said, we've been briefed on this before. Is there a motion to be made by the commission?
Move for approval.
Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second? Is there? Oh, thank you. Commissioner Kelly gives me a second. So, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Item number 13 is consider a motion to declare an emergency pursuant to STCL 5-18A-9 and to authorize the Highway Department to immediately proceed with necessary repairs and materials procurement on County Highway 114 culvert replacement and authorize the chairman to sign an agreement with Hancock Concrete Products in the amount of $41,706 for materials and to accept proposals from H&W Contracting in the amount of $44,040 for installation of the box culvert. Please proceed. Mr. McFarland.
Well, I'm surprised that representatives from the Highway Department aren't here on this, but as you know, we got this late last week where we had a rather large culvert and that, excuse me, on Highway 114 about 2.5 miles west of the Baltic interchange, we detected some problems with that culvert, and the highway department, as I believe, according to the press release, has reduced traffic to one lane on that building until they can effect repairs. So what you have before you is a request to declare an emergency pursuant to SDCL 5-18-9 and authorize the highway department to immediately proceed with those repairs and to procure the necessary supplies and equipment. What they're asking for is for the chairman to sign an agreement with Hancock Concrete Products in the amount of $41,706 for the actual culvert, and then to accept the proposal from H&W Contracting in the amount of $44,000 to go in and install that culvert. In my conversations with them last week, they had indicated that if they are ready to proceed this week in order to get that material and to start those repairs.
Thank you. And there's a question from Mr. Benning.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I did talk to DJ last week when this happened, and the culvert has partially collapsed. The road's been closed, and if in fact we approve this today, he will start the project tomorrow, I believe. I do not remember how long it's going to take him to do the work, but...
Is the road closed, or is it just down to one lane at this point?
No, it's closed.
So it's a pretty lengthy detour.
Yep. All right, well, is there a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I think the picture says it all. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Let's go back on the agenda since it is now past 9:15. And it was publicly noticed. Back to item number 10 on the agenda is a public hearing to consider a petition to vacate a private road described as the remaining portion of South Prince of Peace Place beginning on East 52nd Street, laying adjacent to Block 1 of Lot 12A, Block 2, in Prince of Peace addition to the City of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, South Dakota, and extending to the edge of Lot 12A, Block 2, all in Section 35, Track 101 North, Range 49 West, Minnehaha County.
Hi, David Heinold, Planning Department. We received a private road vacation, as I mentioned before, with setting the hearing date. The county does have the jurisdiction to address private road vacations inside the city pursuant to South Dakota codified law. We received, just a brief summary, this is a private road vacation. It's located roughly, it's northwest of Bonson and 52nd Avenue. It is within Minnehaha County, hence the public hearing. South Dakota codified law 3137 requires that legal notice be published for 2 consecutive weeks and that the notice contain the time and the place of the public hearing in which the street vacation will be considered. In addition, the abutting landowner, which Avera owns this entire property, was sent written notification of this request along with the time and place of the public hearing. This, as you can see here in the map, 52nd runs right parallel right here. This is the proposed vacation. The petitioner, they would have access off of Dudley Lane, which is coming from the northwest side, which if this vacation would be approved, then the private right-of-way, 66-foot right-of-way, would be divided in half among Block 1 and Block 12, which is officially, which it pretty much is just one lot. As you can see the pictures here, as I went out there, and I've spoken with the city on this one, the zoning staff over there, Albert Schmidt, talked to me, and they did approve the permit last December, which I think there was a little bit of a confusion among, that was mainly it as far as what was, but they don't have any concerns with the proposed private right-of-way vacation. This is looking along 52nd. This is just the construction workers that are parked along the street, so those cars would be gone when that construction's done, so I don't think the neighbors would have any concern with that. And then this is that entrance to that lot off of Dudley. So South Dakota codified law, just a brief reminder, just for anyone who may be watching, South Dakota codified 3138 states that any person may have a private road laid out, changed, or vacated upon presenting a petition to the Board of County Commissioners of the county in which such petition resides under regulations, provided that the roads run through one county only. Such board may order such private road to be located, changed, or vacated without any view if there be any no remonstrance against such petition, and the petitioner shall open and keep in repair such road at his expense. Staff recommends that the public would be better served by such petition, recommends approval of the private road vacation 14-02. So action should be taken to approve or deny this request. See the full resolution as described of South Prince of Peace Place. So if you have any questions.
Are there any questions for planning?
I make a motion to vacate that road with a comment.
Okay, it is a public hearing, so we have to give it an opportunity. Is there anybody opposed to this vacation? Anybody opposed? Anybody in favor of this vacation, of this right away? Go ahead, please. I need your name and address.
Yeah. I'm Garrett Peters, Director of Facility Development for Avera, 1105 West Eagle Ridge Circle. We're vacating this, which was essentially the driveway for Prince of Peace, to put in this new street. There was some miscommunication, and that's why it didn't get filed prior to. So
That's fine. We actually understand that happens on occasion, Garrett. So, go ahead.
And if I may, there was some confusion actually as to which authority was supposed to handle the private road vacation. Interestingly enough, you would think that the city of Sioux Falls within its boundaries would do this. Nope, it falls to the county commissioners. So I believe that was a little bit of the confusion in this case, just to be clear. So
yeah,
we actually did try to file it with county, and they said they didn't want it.
But now you do. So.
Yeah.
Now we want it. Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Peters this morning? Any?
Just a comment, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I've traversed the street we're vacating at least 2,000 times over the last 7 years, and in as much as there's now a 3-story building on top of it, I think it's the best plan to vacate it.
All right. So you'll miss the street, but you'll move on.
Okay. It was faster the old way.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I believe now is the time and place for the motion and second. We have that?
Yep.
All right. We have a motion from, I believe, Commissioner Benega and a second from Commissioner Barth.
Either way.
All right. Okay. Well, I got it backwards. Okay. So a motion from Barth and a second from Commissioner Benega. So with all that being said, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you a lot, Mr. Peters. Next, we're turning to item number 11, which is a public hearing to receive comments and input on the 2015 Minnehaha County annual budget. And now is the time and place. It was publicly noticed for that discussion. And that's item 11 on the agenda.
Commissioners, as you know, you adopted the FY 2015 provisional budget on Tuesday, July 29th. As part of that adoption, you also published notice in the legal newspapers of the county that indicated that you would conduct a public hearing on the proposed budget today as part of the regular commission meeting agenda. And this gives the public an opportunity to provide input for the proposed budget. As you know, the current budget stands for next year at $72,141,845. It's supported by revenues that include a 2.4% growth due to new construction, a 1.4 CPI adjustment as well, and there are some modest increases in non-property tax revenue, such as bank franchise tax, recording fees, vehicle registration fees, and also spending some accumulated cash in the highway fund for some additional road and bridge projects in 2014. And it also includes one new position in the jail, which is a court records officer. It also reflects the implementation of the county's pay plan with the normal step increases that are part of the county's pay plan. The one thing you did conduct an additional budget hearing here last week or so, and you conducted your joint hearings with the City of Sioux Falls, with the library, Metro Communication, and the museum. And I have attached a summary sheet that was prepared by the auditor's office that indicates that there will be some further adjustments to, based on the decisions you made at that hearing, of approximately $10,821, which will be a reduction to that proposed budget in the general fund. prior to bringing to you the final budget, which you're scheduled to adopt on September 30th, we will make any other last-minute adjustments in payroll. We will implement some of the changes that we will see when we fully implement and roll in the centrally assessed utility valuations. And then, so all of those will rerun one last time to bring you the final budget adoption, as well as with these adjustments that you've already made for your consideration on September 30th. But this is the time for any public input or consideration on the proposed budget, and I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you. Mr. McFarland, are there any questions regarding the budget? This is a public hearing, so we're going to ask for anybody that wishes to address the commission regarding the 2015 proposed budget to come forward and identify yourself if you are wanting to be heard either for or against, because this is a public hearing. Anybody? All right, well, I'm going to turn it back over to the commission then, and I will obviously, any comments from the commissioners at this time?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
You know, we worked awfully hard on this, and there are certainly some weaknesses in our budget for some of our departments. And I know that, for example, just in the public advocate's office, that they have 200 cases, more cases right now than they did a year ago. They don't have any more people. That's the equivalent of more than an additional attorney for their office. And so, you know, even as we are not raising taxes beyond what you know was scheduled, we are in fact reducing service to our citizens. And there may not be a longer line at the treasurer's office, but there may be a longer line at our public defender or public advocate. There may be a longer line at the courthouse one way or the other. You may have to wait longer to get your property inspected for a building permit or for things like that. And I very much regret that, but that's the hand we've been dealt. And you know, we are doing our very best. The citizens should know that. And we do feel that property taxes are too darn high. And what we need to do is find an additional source of revenue to fund some of these vital services. With the rate of crime going up, what is it, 50% in 4 years? We don't have the resources to cope with it without raising property taxes, and we're sick of raising property taxes. I could go on, but thank you.
Correct. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, then, we are going to move to item number 14 on the agenda, which is to consider a motion to authorize the chairman to sign an agreement with Infrastructure Design Group, IDG, in the amount of $8,889.72 for project development on emergency repair projects. FEMA. Good morning, Mr. Schultz. Can you please state your name and address?
Shannon Schultz. I'm with the Highway Department,
Yep.
Assistant Highway Superintendent. So yes, this is the agenda for a contract with IDG to conduct what I'll call pre-engineering. There's a lot of driving around with the FEMA representatives per site and looking at see what they will and will not cover. And having IDG on board from the beginning will help us recoup our 85% in the end when FEMA pays out the bills. And so I really am a big supporter of having IDG on board at this time, because this will then go into plan development, advertising, and then construction. So this is the first of those steps.
Thank you. And any questions for Mr. Schultz this morning?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Is this so technical you have to go outside to have someone who understands FEMA? Or I guess the question would be why we don't do this in-house as opposed to going outside?
That's a good question, Mr. Kelly. It's burdensome to do this, to work with the FEMA, not just the projects, but the paperwork with the government and stuff like that. So we're sharing the burden with our consultants. We don't have the staff time to do all of that in addition to our regular summer duties, such as getting bridges and roads built. You guys are all aware of all the construction that's going on. So, yeah, we're sharing the burden. We're extending our staff basically by hiring consultants to help us with our workload. And I will point out that 85% of this money we spend on IDG we'll get back through FEMA. So it's a pretty good return on the money for 15% investment.
We are firm, if I may, we're firm with FEMA. It's just a matter of determining the dollar amount. Is that right? We are going to get
85%. That's a programmatic rule. That's correct. We're not exactly firm on which projects are going to be done yet, but we do know we have a large list. It's just a matter of how generous, if you will, they'll allow us.
Thank you.
All right, good questions. Once again, it is to consider a motion to use IDG as one of our, for lack of a better term, our representative with FEMA in some of the projects that we're going to be touring related to some of the disasters that FEMA obviously will reimburse. So is there a motion?
Move for approval.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item number 15 is to consider a motion to authorize the State's Attorney's Office to submit the Highway Safety Grant application. Our State's Attorney, Aaron McGowan. Can you please state your name and address, please, sir?
Aaron McGowan, Minnehaha County State's Attorney. You want home address?
No.
415 North Dakota Avenue.
Please proceed, Aaron.
Thank you, Commissioners. As the Commission is well aware, due to budget constraints, the State's Attorney's Office has not received any new attorney positions last year or does not look good for the next year as far as the provisional budget. Due to that, I did some research on my own. I did make some connections with Peer, and it sounds like there is money available that could potentially fund some additional help for the State's Attorney's Office specific to DWI cases. I'm fairly confident that LEAC still has some money that would be available to the office, and I think we can all agree the state kind of owes us some money, so I think that would be helpful to us. This would be real specific as to our alcohol-related traffic cases, vehicular homicides. We did receive similar money back in 2010. We had a lot of success with that program. It's 100% funded. There was no match or requirements from the county level. Even equipment, training, everything was provided through this grant. Through that grant, I can tell you we made some changes. I quit reducing low-level DWI arrests January 1st of 2011, so we no longer reduced first offenses with a 1.0 or 0.9 blood test. As a result of that and through this grant, we actually increased the percentage of pleas on these cases despite that policy decision to tighten these up and not reduce as many DWIs. So from 2010, we saw the number of guilty pleas go from 74% to 84% in 2011. Also, we saw our reductions decrease. So in 2010, we had a 17% reduction rate, and that dropped to 12% the following year with some of those changes. So we did see a lot of benefits through this. With us having between 1,600 and 2,000 DWIs a year in this county, this is a big percentage of our caseload, and a lot of these are private attorneys because it is such a cross-section of our society that has these instances. So I would ask approval to apply for these grant funds.
Are there any questions for Mr. McGowan this morning? I've got a question. Aaron, you know, Judge Howman is kind of championing the DUI court, and is this something that would work hand in glove and mesh with that? Because it sounds like that would really lend itself to this position.
Absolutely, and our previous DWI special grant prosecutor, Edward Ressler, was and is on that court. This would be an additional staff person to help be on that DWI court that has this specialty. I should also note that, as you are aware, Commissioner Peckus, this has been a real fluid area of the law with the U.S. Supreme Court decision in McNeely, followed by the South Dakota Supreme Court at Fierro. our office has really been papered with a lot of motions. We've been very proactive, anticipating some of these decisions, had our own warrant process locally, so we're not as affected as other parts of the state in anticipation of that. So it could be worse, but we are still litigating a lot of these blood test cases in the wake of those decisions.
Yeah, and along those lines, I just want to go on the record that, the city of Sioux Falls and I believe the city attorney's office actually took that proactive step to go out and make sure those warrants were obtained. So, it's one of those instances where your office and the city attorney's office and the police department were working as a team to see this coming, and you guys really handled it very, very well. And that's something that hasn't been talked about enough, but you guys really weathered that.
Appreciate that, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Just on the internet, and of course the internet isn't always the most reliable, but South Dakota is rated as having the 7th highest rate of driving deaths related to alcohol, and for kids, it's the highest rate in the country. We have more kids per 100,000 killed with drunk drivers than any other state, and yet at the same time we're only something like 17th or 12th in the number of arrests made for DWI. So apparently we're not enforcing those rules to the extent that other states are, and our death rate demonstrates that problem. Aaron, how many do we arrest in Minnehaha County on a yearly basis?
Between 1,600 and 2,100.
I would agree with you to a certain extent, Commissioner Barth, but I don't feel that Lincoln and Minnehaha County are the bellwether of what that statistic is. I think when you get outside of the metro statistical area, I think you're going to find a varying degree of prosecutions for DUI that are out there that I think are viewed much more stringently and strictly in Lincoln and Minnehaha County. Thanks.
Yes, I wouldn't disagree with you, Mr. Chairman. It's a statewide.
It's a problem, nevertheless, but we look at these opportunities to take advantage of that, and I think we're doing that. Any other questions? And once again, we have to have a motion. So
I agree with you, John. I think out in the state things are handled a little different in the smaller rural counties than they are here, and I think that what we saw in the paper was not really indicative of this market right here of Minnehaha County. So I would make a motion to apply for the grant.
There's a motion and a second. Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thanks a lot for being here, Aaron.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yep. Item number 16 is to consider a motion to provide a recommendation to the South Dakota Board of Geographic Names for a name for an unnamed island located in the Big Sioux River by Del Rapids. I saw this come up in an email from you last week. Can you appraise the commission a little bit about it? Let the public know what's going on?
Yes, Commissioner.
Name and address.
Ken McFarland, 415 North Dakota Avenue.
Thank you.
Earlier this year, we actually received 2 notices from the South Dakota Board of Geographic Names on a public comment period for 2 unnamed features in Minnehaha County. The first was going to be for an unnamed creek near Valley Springs, and the second one was for an unnamed island near Del Rapids. As you know, we did put that in our minutes and those notices of that opportunity for public comment. A short time ago, we received information from the South Dakota Board of Geographic Names that they had considered some various names for the creek near Valley Springs, and it appeared that they had settled on the name Annie Anderson Creek, and they had made that determination after receiving some public comment regarding the matter. And they did not seek, and the county did not provide any input on that as far as any preference for a name. And as you recall, that's just as you intended it to be, that you were going to leave this up for the public to submit those comments. This week, I received an attached notice from the board that they had received and were under consideration for 2 names for the unnamed island in the Big Sioux River near Dells. One was Quarry Island, and the other one was Dells Island. However, instead of making a decision like they did in the first instance, they deferred this decision until they would get some input from the county commission on either your preference for a name or perhaps a new name if you so desired for them to consider. and they asked us to respond by September 20th. So that's the reason that this item is on the agenda. Even though you probably have not asked and maybe you don't care, and that I would suggest, at least for my recommendation, I would suggest that, we have followed what I think people wanted us to do, was to provide and advertise the public comment period, and I would recommend that we make no decision on this one and leave it based upon the public comment so that they can make their decision on what they receive from members of the interested public on this one. But the item is here before you because the board asked us to officially take a look at this.
So my understanding is they're looking at Corey Island and Dells Island.
Correct.
All right. And,
And those are the names that came up during the public comment period.
Right. And any comments, concerns?
Well, is there any input on this issue?
Well, let's ask. Is there anybody here that wants to weigh in on this, either for or against the concepts of Quarry Island or Dells Island? Because now is the time and place. Naturally, McFarland Island is freely available. I don't think anybody talked about that yet, but
I have that copyrighted, so I know it's not.
Right. Then I take that back. If anybody wants to have any input regarding this, now's the time and place.
Mr. Chairman, it seems like we're getting along okay with unnamed island. Maybe that should be what we call it.
I would, to be quite honest, Dells is a wonderful community, and the fact that they had public input and comment up there, I would defer to what they want to do. It's their island. It's in their city. So I would entertain a motion to give all authority to them to make this local decision and
what I
make
would
the
do is
recommendation.
we would just notify the board if that's your desire to say, look, you should rely on the public comments that have been done and rely on those up in that area, but the commission has no input on this matter.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
why wouldn't we reach out to Dells and just say, what's your interest? Maybe the Dells Chamber. There was a public comment period, but
we could put that in the letter that we think.
I think it should come back to us eventually, but I think they're the ones that should recommend the name.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sounds good.
All right, so do we have is that a motion?
It is.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Great. All right, so we'll see what they want to do, and they'll let us know.
I'll just write the letter to them to urge them to seek to do this with the citizens of Del Rapids to solicit their input on the matter.
All right, wonderful. All right, thank you. Thank you for that briefing. Do we get a vote on that? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 17 is to consider a motion to authorize the submission of a response to a solicitation by the U.S. District Court, District of South Dakota Probation and Pretrial Services to provide non-medical detoxification services. Mr. McFarland.
Commissioners, we currently have a contract with the U.S. District Probation and Pretrial Services for non-medical detoxification services. That current contract rate is $128.59 per day based upon the old model that we had with Correct Care Solutions. The contract for this service is due to expire very soon, and they've asked that we respond to a solicitation that they have made for that business by September 12th, and so that's the reason this is on the agenda. This is an item that was discussed by the Detox Advisory Board, and if you wish to participate in this contract, we would recommend that we do so at the new contract rate based upon the restructuring that we've done of the detox service of $140 per day. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will accept our contract proposal, but this is a solicitation, and this is what the Detox Advisory Board would recommend that we do. Quite frankly, the feds rarely use detox and that for anything. During the last year, we've probably used it less than 5 times, and that, if that, during this last year. So it's rarely used, but it's something that they would like to have in their pocket if they do need to use it. So, thank you.
So is there a motion to make an initial offer of $140 to the Probation Pretrial Services?
I'll make that motion. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Jeff, you had a comment?
I just wonder if there's a chance that they might change their plan and use us more frequently, and if we're prepared at this rate to be able to supply those services.
I don't think that'll be an issue.
Okay.
In that.
Thank you. Good question. Once again, we do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, item number 18 is the liaison reports from the commissioners. Are there any liaison reports this morning? Any? All right, well then let's move on to item number 19, new business. Yeah, we got one item. Thank you.
Commissioners, just one item just to put on your radar screen, and it may be a little early to be thinking about it, but as you know, in November, the election day, November 4th, I believe, and it falls on Tuesday, which is a commission day, and Auditor Litz has requested that you not meet that day because of the demands of his staff and the fact that he's going to need this room as well for election duties. And I think you're all generally supportive of that. However, the following week, November 11th, is also Veterans Day, which is a holiday. And so I don't know if you really want to go 2 full weeks without a commission meeting. You know, it does hamper our bill processing and things like that. Or if you may want to consider doing a special meeting and schedule a special meeting day for your commission meeting, either a Wednesday or a Thursday, or you will probably have to get together. Well, I'll have to check with Bob on the canvas to see, when that might have to be done. But you may want to be considering doing a special meeting that week of the 10th through the 14th. So I'm not asking for a decision today, but I would like it on your radar screens, and so we can start looking in advance at that option.
That's a great idea. We'll take it under advisement, and when we get all 5 commissioners here, I'm sure we'll get some sort of sense when they want to do it that week. We're probably, in my experience, we probably have to do a canvass the Friday of that. So maybe we would consider doing it the Friday, but I can tell you I'm going to be out of town at that time, so I won't be here. But setting aside the canvass, the following week, I don't know if anybody's planning. If it is on a Tuesday, Monday probably would not be the best date because people might be taking some time because they can get an extra long weekend if they just take Monday off. So with that being said, we'll check our calendars and take it under advisement. Thank you. Is there something else? Warden.
Hi. Jeff Drover, Joe Warden, 500 North Minnesota Avenue.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to update you real quick on our intent to remove one of the surplus vehicles from that surplus list for use in the jail fleet. The jail fleet consists primarily of patrol cars that have lived their useful lifespan on the patrol side. So with the age of some of those vehicles, we are running into some extreme problems with maintenance, so we're looking to pull one off of that surplus list to try to get us through until next year.
Great. And are you going to let us know maybe next week what vehicle that is?
Oh, I'm sorry, I've got that one. It's the 2004 Chevy Tahoe.
Okay.
Did you need the VIN number?
No.
I have that. It's a 2004 Chevy Tahoe. It was a patrol vehicle. Most of the vehicles that the jail is utilizing for transports range in that 110 to upwards of 150,000 miles, and we have a couple that are causing us some maintenance issues. The vehicle is in that 100,000 plus range, but still runs fairly well, so we'll try to get as many miles out of it as we can.
That 2004 Chevy Tahoe, I think, was probably down at Katrina, helping to patrol down there, because I think we sent some of our 4x4s down there during Katrina, and that was probably one of them.
I believe it was. I also believe it's one that I drove when I was in a patrol car, and it's been a lot of years since I've been in a patrol car, so that car's been around.
Yeah, that vehicle could talk, could tell a story. Okay. Thank you.
Motion now to remove that from the surplus list for auction.
All right.
That would be my motion.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you,
Warden, we know that since you drove it when on Tom Patrol, it's had very good care and Loving
Certainly when I
kindness.
was driving it, it was
Yes, that's right.
Well said. So is there any old business to come before the commission this
Mr.
morning?
Chairman, this is
Commissioner
probably new again, and today Ken sent out an email with some FEMA communications, and I don't know, Scott, if you've had an opportunity to review it at all, but do you have a
Well, I can
preliminary?
give you just a quick some information on that. Scott Anderson, County Planning Department, and this is I've been working with Heidi from the Stockwell Engineering that's been working on this. It's I think it's information that is coming out of the City of Sioux Falls, a City of Sioux Falls project, which is down off of 57th and I'm trying to think of the street. I'm not familiar with that part of town, but it's on the southwest part of town. There's some holding ponds, and the past couple of years there's been some flooding. If you recall, we've had some very heavy rains. They've had water come up into people's yards. They're looking at that drainage basin, and as a result of that, the letter that was received basically said that FEMA has reevaluated the mapping. They're going to change some maps, but they don't have money to actually do it at this time and prepare the maps. But they're just giving us notice that there's a certain portion of the Big Sioux River that's going to be impacted below Interstate 29, and there's another part that's north of 29. But it's primarily a city project and should have very little impact on the county.
But it's an increase in what they call the floodplain, right?
It's a change, and potentially, yes, it will increase that floodplain area. The primary drainage basin that's going to be impacted is all within the City of Sioux Falls. The portion that will be impacted in the county is an area that is west of Ellis Road and sort of that 41st Street to 57th area, and it's now just ag land.
Yeah, I know there's a big holding pond down by, is it Sundowner or one of those roads out there? Yeah, so when there's a big rain, it seems to almost crest.
And that's the city is. I think we had that flooding event 2 years ago and over Memorial Day, and this sort of came out as a response to that flooding on how, what to do and some drainage projects. And so they've hired Stockwell Engineering, and they've been studying it and have put some information together and working directly with FEMA.
Yep, all right. Thank you. Any other old business? Seeing none, we do have some executive session items related to personnel and a legal briefing. So with that being said, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned.